One of the great aspects to fly fishing is the cast. It's what identifies the sport, and for some, what keeps them from participating in it.
The perception is that it is very difficult. We are here today to show you that it is not difficult and is actually simple and fun.
The difference between casting a conventional spinning rod and a fly rod is that the fly rod uses the weight of the fly line to bend or flex it, whereas a conventional spinning rod uses the weight of the lure to bend or flex the rod. Each fly rod is designed for a specific weight line. For example, this is a 5-weight rod that matches up with a 5-weight line. So we just saw how a spinning rod is cast utilizing the heavy weight of the lure. The main difference between casting a spinning rod and a fly rod is that the flies we use are typically almost weightless. So we rely on the very thick fly line, which actually has a physical weight to bend or flex the fly rod. Just like a spinning cast, we're going to start the rod and stop the rod, except we're using the physical weight of the fly line to bend or flex the rod.
For those of you who are familiar with golf and know the importance of grip, holding a fly rod is no different. Many anglers like to hold a fly rod like they're holding a snake around the neck, but really, try and think of it more of holding a bird in the hand. Put your thumb right on top and let that thumb act as a rudder to guide your cast. For those of you who are right-handed, you will have a position that looks like this. Your right foot should be slightly behind your left, and it would be the opposite if you were left-handed. This position allows for you to have better range of motion, a comfortable position, and allows you to see that back cast and forward cast as you're fishing. Watching your back cast and forward cast is a great practice to have while fly casting.
Next, let's demonstrate the basic pick up and lay down. We'll start by gripping the line between our index finger and the cork. We'll extend 25 feet of line out the tip of the rod and start with the rod tip down around waist level. Move the rod back to a hard stop, allowing that line to drop down behind us on the grass. Move the rod forward to a hard stop, allowing the line to drop down in front of us. Move the rod, stop the rod. Move the rod, stop the rod. Move the rod, stop the rod. Let's put those together. That was the forward cast and the back cast. Move, stop, move, stop. Move, stop, move, stop. Move, stop, move, stop. Now it's time to get our line hand involved. Up until this point, we've pinched the line between the index fingers of our casting hand and the cork. But now we're going to take the line between a thumb and index finger of our non-casting hand and hold it while we get the rod moving. What we want to do is have our elbows down at our side, nice and relaxed, pinching that line between our thumb and index finger, holding it in place as we cast. One thing to avoid when getting the line hand involved is what we call the baseball batter's motion. We don't want to bring that line hand back with us while we're casting, because what that does is eliminates the tension we're creating by keeping that line hand out in front of us and holding the line. When we move the rod and stop the rod, move the rod and stop the rod, we feel the tension on the forward cast, and that's our cue to let the line go, shooting line, allowing us to extend our cast further out and to reach greater distances. You're doing a great job. I'm sure already you've noticed this is a lot easier than it seems. Take your time to incorporate your line hand into your casting. You'll cast further and cast more efficiently.
False casting is a critical part of fly fishing. It's when the fly is in the air and not touching the water. False casting can be used for 3 different reasons. The first, to dry off your fly. When you're using a dry fly, you want to keep that fly nice and dry. Sometimes it can get waterlogged. By false casting, you're giving that fly an opportunity to dry off. You may also want to use false casting to change directions. If from here I want to change directions to over there, I can't do that easily. I want to false cast until I can make that cast happen.
Now let's take a moment to focus on the third reason why we false cast. And that's to get the belly or weight of the fly line out the tip of the rod so that we can shoot the running portion of the fly line. If you notice, the belly of the fly line is much thicker than the very thin running portion of the fly line. So when we false cast, using our line hand to hold the rod out, what we're doing is allowing the line to slip through our fingers, getting that 30 feet of fly line out the tip of the rod so that we can then shoot this very thin running section of the fly line forward, extending the distance or reach of our cast.
With 25 to 30 feet of line past the tip of your rod, strip line from your reel to the ground. With the line in your line hand, start your cast. On the forward cast where your line comes to a stop, let that line feather through your fingers on your line hand. At that point, lower your rod tip to the ground, and now you're in the fishing position. Everything besides casting is done in that fishing position, whether it's stripping line or fighting that fish.
Got it, you ate it. Now we're going to show you a great way to practice your casting at home. By spending time practicing at home, it's going to make your experience at the pond or on the stream go a lot more smoothly. We'll be using a cardboard bass with a piece of Velcro on it and a piece of Velcro attached to the end of our fly line, but you can use a hula hoop or a dinner plate to do the same thing at home. I'm going to place a piece of Velcro on the end of Abby's leader, and she's going to utilize the 3 techniques we just went over: the basic pickup and laydown, false casting, and shooting line to practice her accuracy as she tries to catch this largemouth bass.